What's up guys, and welcome back to the Pokémon Sun and Moon video with me, TheOneIntegral. Now today we have an analysis video of the trailers that came out this week. We had two on Tuesday, maybe it was, one English, one Japanese, and then as well as the train-on one, and then we also had another one come out the next day. I think that was yesterday, so it must have been Wednesday they came out, whatever. So yeah, we had another one come out yesterday, so I'm going to be going through all of those, picked out all the interesting screenshots. Obviously I'm not going to show you every single screenshot of every single new feature, but there is something to look at for most things here. So I'm assuming this video is going to be pretty long, so hopefully you guys will stick around for as long as possible. I've spent a lot of time on this video, that's probably why this video is going up so late, but it would really, I'd really appreciate if you guys could hit the like button, but I'm just going to jump straight in and not say any more about that. So first up, we are going to be looking at a bit of the Aether Foundation and just taking a quick look at the screenshots from the trailers. Basically, the first few screenshots we have here, we have one of the general sort of the reception area, I guess we can call it, for the Aether Foundation, as well as two sets after that, one for the branch chief and then one for the assistant branch chief. And first up, the first screenshot, you can see the Aether logo behind. You see like sort of a triangle with so it's sort of like a trident, I guess, just slightly different with Z move crystals or Z crystals at the top. So that seems to be their logo. I'm not sure if we can relate it to anything else, but then looking at the other two sets. First one, the branch chief, you can see with Hala and the character, we have a boat to the right of us, and it seems to be some sort of speedboat. You can see the golden rail as well as sort of the speedboat windscreen. Also in the top right of that screenshot, you can see a Sudowoodo being experimented on or being studied. So we don't exactly know what they're doing there. Might just be a case of we need to find out why Sudowoodo is pretending to be a tree. Who knows? So there is that. But then if we look at the other screenshots with the assistant branch chief, it seems to be in a similar area since the rails are there, but the boat is completely different. You can see the boat, as I mentioned, it's completely different. It could be the same area, it could be a similar area, because if you look behind the two Aether Foundation members, you can see the man or the gentleman, the branch chief, has a nice wide area behind him, whereas the woman, I can't remember her name, has a sort of smaller area with only a few crates behind her. But the ship or the boat you've come on seems to be different, as you can see. It is not a speedboat, it's more of a cruiser. So whether or not there'll be different places to access, sort of maybe you access the Aether Paradise at different points during the game. With Hala, you go as a trip sort of thing, and that's why the boat is different. Or maybe it's just, the case of the boat, boat changes around. If you go from this port, you get this boat. If you go from this port, you get this boat. Who knows exactly? I just thought it was something worth pointing out. Some more stuff to look at for the Aether Foundation though. Of course, we have some locations of Aether Foundation members across the Alola region. Now this first one here, you can see they are basically in some sort of rocky canyon, or rocky mud canyon, and I think this is on the largest island at the top, bottom right rather, of the Alola region. You can see at the bottom right of the island itself, there is a nice sort of rocky, craggy area which looks very similar to this. I don't think this is from the Canyon Island, or the uninhabited island, as I call it, because that seems to be a very different sort of type of terrain, whereas this muddy brown seems to fit in with this area a bit better. So it's possible they might turn up there, or it could be somewhere else. It could be a cave of sorts as well. The second one we have here is actually, first, I haven't showed this screenshot here, but the first up, they're actually facing off against some Team Skull Grunts, which you might end up helping fight, defeat them and turn them away. But after that, they see the Slowpoke, and you can see the branch chief as well as a female member of the Aether Foundation talking to you. Where this is, I'm not too sure. I believe it might be on the first island, Melee, possibly towards the back of the island. Nothing really fits the current, what we can see on the map. There's no area where you go up and there's a white fence with some grass behind it, because of course we can't see that very well. But behind the island, it's sort of, the path curves around, goes up to the backside, so it could possibly be there, because we haven't seen really any shots of that. So I think that's where it's from. It would make sense for your first introduction to these guys, because it seems like you're meeting them for the first time, to be on the first island, and they might say something like, come and visit us on the Aether Paradise, haha, adverts basically. So yes, there's that. Let me know if you have any ideas where they might be separate to that. But next up we have obviously the Aether Paradise to look at particularly. Now you can see it here, it's the artificial island as mentioned, and we get a screenshot of it in one of the trailers. You can see just outside it, it looks very grey in this picture, but I think that's just because it's night. You can see again an entrance to it there with the logo just above, and further up you can see a different sort of type of logo. I'm not sure if it's the logo particularly, or whether it's just an extra design. Notice this is not on the map version, It's either could be because this is the back side of the 8th Paradise, or it could be because, you know, there are differences between artist perception. You know, the artist might have just been told, right, draw the 8th Paradise there. He's not going to, you know, copy every single detail, he's just going to get the main points across. So that's one possibility there. But you can see them outside here. We have a Hypno, we have a little Meowth, and there's another Pokemon around the back, but you can't really see it in the screenshot. But you can also see a young boy to the bottom left, so it's sort of like the public are allowed on the 8th Paradise. So it's not like it's just an exclusive area. You can assume the public are allowed to visit, so that's how we'll go along. So it's not like a secret team base, or there might be like further down if there are areas where you can't access, but you know, in general it's a public area, I suppose you could say. So there is that. Then looking inside the 8th Paradise, we have 2 screenshots we can see here, one showing sort of the pretty much the whole area. Inside it seems like there's obviously some water areas, there's some tree and forest areas, and there's also some craggy areas at the top next to where the camera is focused. And with the second one you can see a Corsola and a Starmie in the watery section. This will just be a sort of an overview of the area to begin with, because of course you and Hala are stood in the centre there. You can see it on both those screenshots. So you're obviously being introduced, you're waiting to be met by Lusamine or someone similar to that. So this is obviously when you first are introduced to the Paradise, possibly after the previous shots of the Branch Chief welcoming you to the island by the boat. Who knows though, who knows. So let's then move on to look at some stuff about the Ultra Beasts, because we do have some screenshots about, or you know, of UB1 appearing before you. It's not Hala, is it? It's How, rather. You, How, and Lusamine. Now you can see there's a few screenshots here, I'll just show you to them. There seems to be a portal opening. It looks like a dimension portal. We'll talk more about this in other videos. Opening in the middle of the 8th Paradise, it would seem. Possibly when you first arrive there, who knows. And obviously UB1 comes out and settles down just in front of you guys. We don't know what happens after that, of course, but Lusamine's looking pretty shocked. Doesn't mean she doesn't know what, you know, doesn't mean she's not involved with them. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, Lusamine looks really shocked in that video of UB1 appearing. How can she be involved with creating them if she's that shocked?" Well, simply, maybe they created them, maybe they escaped, and now she's like, "Shit, it's coming back to get me." You know, it doesn't have, you know, just because you've seen it before and you know about it, doesn't mean necessarily that you shouldn't be shocked. But yes, we have UB1 appearing, possibly the first time. Maybe this is your introduction to the Ultra Beasts, because obviously in the video your player character is quite intrigued by them. He's sort of like, "Whoa, what is that?" And then Lusamine might be like, "Yeah, it's going to kill you." They're like, "Whoa, everybody calm down." So who knows about that. If you have any ideas on why UB1 might be appearing at this point, what the portal is all about, let me know down below. But continuing on, we have a few more shots, not quite of UB1, but at the end of the most recent trailer, the Japanese one, there were some awesome cinematic shots of Solgaleo and Lunala running across sort of, you know, terrain and stuff, and end up meeting each other. And at the end of the trailer, they don't fight each other, they jump together down this, which looks very similar to the portal we just saw UB1 coming out of. So maybe Solgaleo and Lunala are actually related with the Ultra Beasts. Maybe they cause the Ultra Beasts, maybe they are Ultra... No, I wouldn't say they're Ultra Beasts, let's not say that. Maybe they're related to them somehow, maybe they can stop them, or maybe this is just some sort of artistic design, you know, they're jumping down it to enter this new world of Pokemon sort of thing, rather than being related to them at all. Let me know if you think there's any relation there, of course, down below. So then we'll continue on, and now we're going to look through a load of screenshots and locate where they are on the yellow region and sort of talk about what this means. The first one is a set of 2 screenshots actually. This is when they're comparing day and night between the 2 games, and this first one when they run into a Drifloon and a Mischievous, depending on the version, shows them running around in the graveyard, hence the Mischievous and Drifloon. But you can see here the graveyard with a lamppost and then a hedge and obviously some graves and such. Where is this? Well, this seems to be located on the second island, Akala Island, down right at the sort of the southern tip of the island. If I bring up a larger version of it here, you can see this is pretty much exactly where it's going to be. You can see a graveyard here, a couple of graves have been drawn, as well as hedge-like sort of sections, and obviously leading in to a forest behind it, we can assume. So this is where that is there. I didn't catch, I think we got the levels of the Pokemon, so we don't exactly know when we'll be arriving at this point in the game, but I just thought it was very nice to point out. So this is where you'll be able to catch some ghost types. So, you know, we seem to be getting here about level 20, I would assume. So if you like ghost types, you know, we get some pretty good ghost types there. So moving on then, we have next up this triple shot, basically to show off again the day-night cycle, or the day, differences between time in both versions, showing basically a morning, a midday, and then a night, or a dark, evening, night sort of time. Both you and Kukui looking over at a mountain. Now we know this mountain is the only icy mountain in the whole region. It's the one right at the top. You can obviously see it there. There are lights on top of it, as you can see in the nighttime. Whether this means that it's a city of some sort, we don't necessarily know. You can't assume that because it could be lights coming from Pokemon or coming from ice, you know, glinting off stars, for example. They don't have, it doesn't necessarily have to be a town, but it might suggest that. Where are you and Kukui actually stood when you're looking at this? Well, you can see just before them there is a barrier of sorts, and there's a sort of two circles just coming up. Initially I thought this could be a boat and you were like travelling to the largest region together, and he just gives you an overview, and these two are just sort of like front, like lights on the boat or something. But as we'll look at later on with another screenshot, these seem to be satellite dishes, and you seem to be stood down at the observatory, so you're already on the island and you're simply just on, you know, one level of the mountain, hence why it's already sort of cloudy around you, so you're surrounded by clouds. So then of course you can see the tip, the peak of the mountain just beyond that. So that's why you can sort of, you know, that's why that's there basically. Next up, we're looking at some more differences between day and night, or, you know, differences in versions. First one shows the female character running down to this, I guess, lower ground, and the second one carries on from it but changes it from, I'm guessing, daytime to sort of like early evening, hence the orange sky. And where is this? Well, it seems to be on the uninhabited island, the, I don't know what to call it really, the Canyon Island I refer to, or the Temple Island is probably better, but it seems to be here at the top right of the island. If I show you a closer look at that, you can see there seems to be a very low section with a few trees on it, and then obviously it goes a bit higher, hence why you're running down here. So that seems to be exactly where it is, but I want to draw your attention to the screenshots once more and compare them a bit, and you can see there is one thing in the screenshot that's not in the other one. In the orange screenshot you can see there is a tree there, and in the blue screenshot there is not a tree there. Why? Why would a tree be in one version or one time of day if it's not? Well, let me tell you, my prediction for this is that the Alolan Executor will be available to possibly, you know, battle and capture at maybe a few points throughout the region every now and again. And obviously he'll be disguising himself as a palm tree, and if you walk up to the palm tree, or if you walk close enough, this Alolan Executor will awaken and you'll actually realise it's not a palm tree, and then you'll enter in a battle with it, meaning you can either capture it like that, which would be really interesting because you'd never be able to capture an Executor. Well, you might be able to capture Executor before, but it's, yeah, so it's a fully evolved Pokemon. You don't see it as often, I suppose, but it would be really cool, and you can face off against it and be like, you know, it's sort of like a Sudowoodo-esque moment. You think it's just a tree, but no, it's not a tree, it's a Executor. So maybe in the first screenshot it already been caught, or already been, you know, encountered. Maybe it happens once a day, maybe once a week, maybe it's just a one time only and just a sort of a little fun event there, or maybe it's just dependent on time, who knows exactly. So there's that. But we can also see in the second screenshot, just to the left of that tree, you can see what looks to be a Magikarp boat or a Magikarp house of some sort sitting on the side. Now whether this is actually a boat or a house we'll look at later on. There seem to be boats based on Magikarp which could be used for travel around the region, or there could just be a little house or a little, you know, a little mini game set area that the Magikarp is representing. Who knows exactly what that's going to be? As I said, we'll look at some Magikarp boats in a second. Which is actually right now. If we look at this first screenshot, you can see a sort of an overview of the floating town that we first noticed when the map first came out, which is on the uninhabited island, the Temple Island once more, except of course down towards the southern side of it. If I show you a bit closer, you can see originally we just got these wooden platforms. We couldn't really see anything else, so it's a bit where we were like, well, are there any houses there, or is there any like buildings at all? It seems to be they're actually all boats, or at least, you know, buildings and such built onto floating boats, both floating areas, pontoons, maybe, who knows what to call them. So that's possibly why they weren't drawn on there. Again, artist's impressional, just not to draw the specifics, but you can see here there are several different boats and sort of, you know, vehicles parked around this town. The first one, as I mentioned, is the Magikarp one. You can see at the bottom left here. Then we have the Huntail one just behind that. There's two Huntail there, sort of like a very regal ship, I suppose. Then further behind, of course, we have a Wailord, I guess a bus almost. It's a larger area, and then down towards the bottom right you can see a Wishcash house there, and then just at the top right of that you can see another you know, sort of like a silvery grey boat thing. And I was looking at this before, I was like, what Pokemon is that? So I flicked through like the water type list a few times. I was like, no, it can't be that. And it's actually a Steelix. Right before this screenshot you can see a bit more of it, but basically it's a tanker of sorts, possibly a submarine, possibly like a big steel tanker. It makes sense. Yes, it's not a water type, but boats are made of steel, so having a boat based off of Steelix makes sense, because if it's a, you know, big strong tanker, maybe just like made of proper steel, it makes sense in some aspects there. But yeah, so you have a floating town here, and if I show you guys the sort of the next screenshot, which shows you a bit more of the town, you can see closing in on the Magikarp boat here. You can see why I say this might be a method of transport is you can see in the background you have the Wailord and the Huntail vessels, and they have both ramps to go up on them, and you can obviously enter them and go in the building, and obviously the Huntail one you can see a door on it as well. But the Magikarp one doesn't have a ramp. There is a guy stood in front of it, so possibly he might say, I can take you anywhere you want, and maybe that's where the Magikarp ends up on the other side of the island, or maybe it's something else. You know, maybe you can hire it yourself and ride around. Who knows exactly what that is all about? You know, not too sure at the moment. But yes, that's really that for that floating islands. Not too much more to say there. We don't know what any of the buildings are about, but you know, it's just a bit of the buildings, I suppose. Then we have a screenshot of this next town. You can see towards just south of the volcano on Akala Island. If I show you the area a bit more, you can see obviously Pokemon Center, building on the right hand side, a nice little, you know, open park area, and in the back you can see this big building which is Battle Royale. I predicted it was going to be Battle Royale because obviously it looks sort of similar, and you can see just, you know, you can see basically the Battle Royale logo just behind, you know, if you look very closely on the front of it, the Battle Royale logo is present there with Machamp and Hariyama statues just in front. So it's just, you know, Battle Royale, battle, you know, so they obviously like fighting and stuff. And in the background you can see obviously all the volcano stuff behind. And of course you can also see there are 4 flags in front of the Battle Royale: blue, red, yellow and green. This is not representing the 4 colours of the Alola region, it's representing the 4 colours of Akala Island, which are of course blue, red, yellow and green for water, red, electric and grass for the 4 trial leaders on this island. So that is that there. There's not much to say, you know, extra for this screenshot here. It's really just, you know, showing off. We can't really make out anything else like the building on the right hand side. You can't see anything further past the Pokemon Center on the left hand side, so there's not much more to say for that screenshot there. So if we move on once more, we then have this screenshot. It's not sort of specific to a particular area, but I thought it best to show anyway. This is you and Hal arriving on another island, we can assume, because this is where the boat sort of comes in and you're still at the front like, yeah, get off the boat, I'm going to explore this island. But behind them now you can also see Lily. Previously when we saw this, I don't think we saw Lily on the boat, so I thought I'd mention it. Looks like she's going to travel around the region with you. I mean, we assumed she would anyway, but she's not necessarily going to stay with the Professor, unless of course the Professor is also on this boat. She might end up going on her own Pokemon journey or research journey, not necessarily to be a Pokemon trainer because she doesn't like that, but some sort of journey with you and Hal. And you'll meet up with her from time to time, so I just thought I'd point that out because I noticed that during the trailer. Moving on then, we have some shots of this town, which is a pretty cool town actually. This town is based again on Akala Island. If I bring up a sort of a larger shot of it for you, you can see it's the one by the graveyard, so it's actually quite near it, and it seems to be some sort of Chinatown, you know, very, you know, sort of Chinese Asian themes to it. Because if we look at the first, I mean, the design of the houses for first, yeah, but also there seems to be a lot of shops in this town. And if we look at the icons of the shops, starting at the top right, you can see, or the front right, I suppose, you can see a pair of scissors, hairdressers is there, you know, customization's coming back, and just behind that we also have a clothing store, because you can see a t-shirt of some sort. It's China design based again, or Asian based. It seems to be like a shirt, and you know, you might sort of see worn in Asia, so again it might be like related, so you might have to be able to find specific types of clothing here. Then coming on the left hand side, first up you can see some sort of weird, you know, I don't exactly know what this is. It looks like a cauldron to me almost, like, you know, be able to buy potions or something. Maybe not potions, but you know, something there. Who knows exactly what that's going to be. Further back there, you can see a CD on one of the signs, which indicates it's a TM store, a HM or TM store particularly. So we'll be able to buy TMs again. We know they're returning. Yeah, we've seen some TM Pokeballs around, the yellow ones. And even further back down there, obviously the Pokemon Center is on the right hand side, but on the left hand side there is another sign. It's very hard to make out because of the size of the image, but if I grab another one from another trailer which is a bit more closer to it, you can see this image, this sort of icon here. It looks like a hammer almost, or a pickaxe. I'm going to go for hammer. I don't know what it would be for. If you guys have any idea what this icon will suggest, you know, is it a hammer, is it a pickaxe, and what would it suggest if it was? If it was a pickaxe, I thought maybe it's selling Z crystals, because we know there are possibly, you know, you're not just going to get one Z crystal, you know, one like, I can't remember what they're called now. You're not going to get like one electric Z crystal. You can get several and give them to your Pokemon to hold, I think is how it works. I'm not too sure. There have been people saying about this on my videos, I'm not sure. But it could be some sort of, you know, stone, a crystal shop, or it could be something entirely different. Let me know what you think about this down below. Then we have another shot of the same town again, but you can see it a bit more open plan. So you can see the whole town now. You can see all the shops, Pokemon Center and such, and obviously the lighthouse isn't really on the town, it's a bit further away. But on the left hand side there, you can see in the dock of this town there is a ship of some description, and you can see there are sails on the ship. So it's not a speedboat or a cruiser like we saw earlier. It seems to be some sort of old pirate boat, I'm going to call it. So maybe it's Team Skull's boat. I know it doesn't have any Team Skull logos on it or something, but it certainly look like the sort of boat they would use. And obviously in the map you can see just outside, just off that town, you can actually see a pirate ship of some sort on the water. So who knows if that's related at all there. But we shall continue. Next we have another shot of another town, and this one is on the largest island, because I'm sure you guys will be able to figure out where it is, but it's on the top right. It seems to be next to the port where you first come in. It's the one with the golden tower next to it, but you seem to have that sort of, you guys get the idea. You can see it on the map there, it fits out pretty well. What can we particularly pick out for this town? Well, again, there are some signs on some buildings. The top right building, or the front right building, first up we have another t-shirt on it, so again, seems to be a clothing shop. Again, it's a slightly different design of t-shirt, I suppose, so it might be indicating this is more of a, because if you look at it, it looks more like almost a Japanese feel to this village, because the lanterns and such, or I guess it's Chinese lanterns in it, but I don't know, maybe there'll be different themes depending on the towns and such. You'll be able to buy loads of different clothing, who knows. Then we have another icon on the left hand side, and you can't really make it out at all. It looks, even with a full size screenshot of this, it just looks like a blur. I think, however, it is a cafe slash restaurant slash diner or whatever, because if you look at the icon, you can almost make out it's almost like an X on the icon of the lighter section, and it seems to be, my prediction for that would be with like knife and fork or knife and spoon or whatever. And if you look just in front of the door on the right hand side, there is a blackboard which would indicate some sort of menu, hence why I think it's a restaurant. Something else I like to point out for this screenshot as well is there seems to be a police officer in the sort of the middle of the town. There you can see right there where I've circled him. Seems to be a police officer. He's got like yellow sections on him, so badges and such. And you can also see just next to him a Woobat rather is flying. So maybe the police officers of the region use Woobats. Who knows? But there's nothing too much extra to look at for that screenshot. Moving further on, we have a few here from the Poke Finder, just sort of pointing out where you might be able to use the Poke Finder. First up, obviously, we have the one where it's properly used. This is in the first town, and it's obvious where this is because we can pretty much make out exactly on the map where on the map it is. It's on the largest town of this island. Then the second one we have is of Eevee and Lillipup running around. You can see a bale in the background, which indicates it's on a Kala Island because there is a farmhouse there. So it seems like when you get to the farmhouse, you have to lean over the fence and take some pictures of the Pokemon running around. Further down then again, we have this shot of a Cutiefly and as well as an Oricorio. Because Oricorio is yellow, it suggests it's on Melemele Island, so it's yellow Melemele. So possibly somewhere, I've circled the top left of the island, or just anywhere on the island really, where there are trees, because obviously you've got to look over to the trees. So possibly that's where you'll be able to find that. And of course the last one we see is the Dragonite flying around, and of course that'll be somewhere in the canyons on the uninhabited island, because that that makes sense there. So moving swiftly on once more, we have a look at the screenshot of Sina and Dexio talking to you and giving you the Zygarde Q and such, but we're going to look more particularly at what's behind them. We have this big building that we initially saw as one of the first designs of Sun and Moon in the very first teaser trailer. We didn't exactly know what it was. We now have some new banners on the front of it. On the left banner there is actually wishy-washy designs. You can't see it in this screenshot, but there is. And on the second banner there's a Bruxish design as well as a Love Disc design as well on it. And I've circled a Staryu as well, and a few obviously water-type Pokemon designs as well. Also in the background you can see two dancers of some description. I don't exactly know what they are doing or anything like that. They just seem to be dancing. Who knows if they have any particular resemblance, but since this is like a water type based thing, it might be an aquarium, it could be something like that. But of course we're on an island with the water trial leader, so maybe she will be in there somewhere, be related to it, who knows exactly, but that is that. So we shall move on again. This time we have this screenshot right after the Zygarde stuff. Obviously we have a demonstration of using the Zygarde Q to find it. You can see you walk up to this spot and you press A, and you'll see it's not shown in the English trailer, but right after in the Japanese trailer the Rotom Dex jumps up and it's actually Sina who talks to you and says, "That's a Zygarde cell you just found, ba 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 ba." So it seems like this is the first one that's picked up, hence it would indicate you've just received the Zygarde Q recently, hence it would indicate it's a close area by. I've picked out two areas possibly, either just above or just to the right of that building, you can see this sort of raised area, which seems like, you know, fits in with the screenshot sort of landscape, or maybe further up towards the volcano. I put my money on the first one though, really, personally. But that is that, so it's, you know, just another shot of the area. Plus also you have this farm girl in the screenshot too, when the farm is fairly nearby, so it fits in thematically there. Next up we have a screenshot here of basically a canyon of some description. You can see here we have a tree at the bottom of the canyon, an archway, I guess we can walk over it, and there are a few things to look at here. Obviously this is from the canyon island, or, you know, somewhere in the island of course, we don't exactly know. There is only one sort of section where you can see there might be an overpass, which is of course the bridge, but we can assume there will be other areas because obviously it's here. But the things to look at here, at the bottom of the tree you can see a Mudsdale and 2 characters, possibly trainers down there, who knows exactly. I would assume they're trainers, I wouldn't assume they're like, you know, characters or players or anything. I'm going to assume they're trainers. But also that you can see on the top section there are 2 almost like poles of some description. There are a pole and there's a circular section there, and another pole further up. And there's one further across the canyon there. I have no idea what these are. Ideas possibly ranging from poker ride stuff, maybe it's a zip line to go across there. I just really do not know what they are, or why they would be there really. Like, what's the purpose? Is it to travel between one and the other? I really don't know. But as well as this, there are also 2 or 3 sections, entrances to caves. You can see one on the left, one on the back, and then also one just behind the tree there. I haven't circled it. Also one on the right hand side as well. So it looks like the canyon island is going to be filled with caves, like we can go in and out of caves. It'll be like a maze almost to get to the temple and wherever else you want to go. Instead of just going through the canyon, you have to go through the canyon and through a cave. You come up on the top of the canyon, and you can go out this one. You've got to cross over, and there'll be loads of stuff to do on this island, it looks like. So it's not just a case of walking up to the temple. It'd be quite a little maze to get through, which is pretty cool. Moving on once more, we have this shot from the trailer, which obviously is on top of the very sort of the tallest mountain, as we discussed earlier, and you can see the character running up, and this is the final section we get. We don't see much extra, but you can see what seems to be after almost an archway, or buried in the rock, some sort of doorway. You can see, if I enlarge this for you, you can see of course the arches, the colours, the orange and blue colours, as well as this sun-like icon. But beneath you can see there are 3 people stood down there, as well as a doorway of some sort. Now I have no idea what this area is going to be. Is it going to be a town, as I mentioned earlier? Is it going to be a temple of some sort with light glimmering everywhere? I have no idea. One possible idea is its location of a moon dial, since we have the sun dial in Pokemon X and Y, so it makes sense that, you know, Kalos and Lola are related, so a moon dial would make sense since we have sun and moon. Who knows though? Let me know any thoughts or theories you have on this location down below, because it's probably the most interesting and, I guess, mystery location at the moment. One location which is less of a mystery now though, with this new screenshot, is the giant tree on the canyon or the temple island. You can see here we have a screenshot of basically the character running towards the tree, and of course it is next to the tree. You can see a couple of trainers on the left, one on the right, and as well as an entranceway, an archway, if you know, like rocks and such, leading into what looks to be possibly a town housing this giant tree. There might be like houses around it. But you can see further in, past that, right at the bottom, you can see at the base of the tree there is an entrance. So I feel like it might be a location of a trial leader of some sort of description might be living around there, or it could be the kahuna of course for the island, something along those lines. And you might have to climb the tree and battle, you know, something up there. But one other idea, which is the idea I had originally when I saw this big tree, was something to do with Zygarde. Now, Zygarde, a quick backstory on it if you don't know already, based on Yggdrasil, not Yggdrasil itself, but based on Jormungandr, which is a large snake from Norse mythology, which basically lived in the roots of Yggdrasil, which is a giant tree. Now, this is a giant tree here, so it would be like a throwback to it basically. So one idea I do have is that, yes, okay, maybe it's linked to trial and stuff, but then after you collect enough cores and cells, you can go to this tree and it opens up a secret entrance or a secret passageway or something like that, and you get to journey down into the depths of the tree, running around the roots and such, and find your way to a Zygarde, which I think would be really cool. I think that's how it might work in the end, because I don't know where else Zygarde would appear in this region apart from like in the canyon area or somewhere else. Because of course we can assume it's going to be catchable now, thanks to the introduction of the Zygarde Cube. So let me know if you like that idea, or if you have any other ideas yourself. Next up though, here's a couple of screenshots with a battle with How. You can see here, a battle with How. Each player only has 1 Pokemon, so it's possibly just a default battle, but if you look closely at this first screenshot, there's a grave in the background, which would indicate that the battle happens somewhere near the graveyard on Akala Island. However, in sort of a section straight after the screenshot, You can see Poplio about to use a move, and obviously you can see the area is pretty much the same, grassy and a bit of dirt, but behind it you can see those buildings there, and those buildings do not match the buildings of that town on Akala Island. They match the buildings of the starting town rather, whereas if you're battling in the starting town you would indeed use the platform. So I don't exactly know why either the platform isn't there, or there is a grave there in the first place, because obviously the grave suggests it's there on Akala Island, but if it's the same battle, which it seems to be because of the area and sort of the fact it comes right after it, I don't know why the towns, the buildings would be there. Maybe they just reuse the building assets for that battle there. I do not know. If you guys have any other ideas on it down below, let me know there. Further, moving on once more, quick screenshot here of trainer riding a Stoutland, finding a hidden item. You can see a beach as well as a little area of grass there. Where is this? I would say either by the golf course, you can see a beach and golf course down there on Akala Island, or somewhere down here in the bottom left of the larger island, where obviously you have these beaches and grassy areas where it could also be. So that's just a quick one there. Moving on then to a Lapras one, a couple of Poké Ride screenshots basically here. As you can see, the player is fishing off of the Lapras, and you can see in the background you have those waterfalls, so you're obviously on Akala Island to start off with here. Where is this? Well, it seems to be on a separate pool just before those waterfalls on Akala Island. If I show you the circle and bring it up, we have a nice pool here with a water going down off the edge, which you can see just to the left of the screenshot here. So my guess would be that's where it is, a separate pool section, a lake of some sort. Maybe there'll be something of note here, maybe just be an extra pool you can go to, an extra route area. Who knows exactly? Moving swiftly on now to try and take up as little of your time as I can. We next have a Tauros screenshot cracking up here to rocks. I think again this is on the largest island at the bottom right section. You can see all this craggy area, so obviously you're breaking over rocks rather, and it would fit pretty well in there. That's my prediction, or it could be on the canyon island somewhere. That's another idea. Moving on, we have then a Sharpedo breaking some rocks open, and I do indeed think this is on the largest island again, just at the bottom left, because you have rocks, areas to break open, you have beaches, and it seems to fit exactly with this sort of area here. We have a beach on the side, and you have a couple of islands and stuff around, and passageways you have to open up with Sharpedo. That's just my thoughts though. Moving on, we have a screenshot of the player running across a bridge. I indeed do think this is the bridge on the Temple Island. There is only one bridge there. It does look like a pretty solid bridge, however, whereas the one on Temple Island looks like a bit of a string rope bridge. And there's also, remember, we had the one of Lily in front of a rope bridge of some sort, and we have not yet to see that. That could possibly be on the start on Mele Mele Island, possibly though, so we don't know exactly. But there are two bridges, one's on the Temple Island, and one's possibly on Mele Mele. Who knows? But I think this is indeed on the Canyon Island, because again, right at the bottom of that screenshot, you can see another cave entrance there. So that's just what it indicates to me. Then we have a screenshot of the female trainer running around basically a volcano. So obviously this is on the volcano. My guess would be this is the route that leads up to the top of the volcano, where you meet up with the trial leader, Kiawe. It would make a lot of sense since his area seems to be right at the top of the volcano. So obviously you have to ascend the volcano, possibly going for a cave or two to get there, and that would make the most sense. Then we have this weird screenshot. It shows two people that are not related to the player, is not there, is not even anywhere visible on the screen, and not part of the conversation. It's just two people having a chat. Who knows exactly why this has been shown or why it's in the game particularly. Maybe you're following these people, you have to listen to them, maybe they're related to something else, maybe it's like a cutscene. But I indeed think this is on Mele Mele Island, because it's right next to a concrete road. And then there is a hedge next to them. After the hedge there is a path of sorts, and after that it seems to be the edge of a pond. And I think this is this house on Mele Mele Island, because you can see the road, the hedge, what looks to be some sort of path there, and then right next to that a pond. So I indeed think that's where it is. Who knows why it is there? If you have any ideas why they would show a little screenshot of two people talking, again I don't know Japanese, so I have no idea what they're actually saying here, but if you have any ideas, let me know down below. Then we see a screenshot here of the player alerting a Team Skull member to his presence, and obviously you go and have a battle with him. Where is this? Well, it seems to be in the same house that Team Skull have taken over in previous trailers, because we saw in previous trailer we had Guzma was in a house where it's covered in spray paint, so maybe that's either a house they've trashed, or my prediction would be it'd be in the walled city on the largest island. They've taken over the largest house there, because we know there's like a whole town takeover they've done, so possibly one of the houses in this town, or possibly the largest house, which is obviously where Guzma would likely be staying. So that's my prediction there. Then we have a couple screenshots. First of Gladian, the Team Skull Enforcer. He seems like he's going to be a rival of sorts, because he has a different theme to Team Skull. He's not listed as an admin, so it looks like he's going to be a rival similar to Silver from Pokemon Gold and Silver, so he'll be like mean to you. Obviously he is related to the evil team. He might end up leaving the evil team or being there for other purposes, but he is obviously related to them, so it does seem like, you know, he'll be cropping up as a rival as well as being related to Team Skull. So almost a rival that is part of the evil team, which is something we wanted for a while. But I think this particular screenshot is from the largest island you can see here of the Pokemon Center next to this trailer. I'm not too sure particularly about it, because of course you'd expect to see the forest behind him in this screenshot, but I think maybe the sort of the angle here allows you to just skip over that and sort of look over towards the sea. Again, artist sort of prediction and you know, way they've drawn the map. Then we have a picture of Hala with a Crabrawler. You can see here facing off against Poplio. Obviously, again, this is in the starting village. I believe this is the Kahuna battle against Hala before you leave Melemele Island, because my guess would be you go around the island, you do stuff you need to do, and then you battle him before you can leave. And you can see a Crabrawler obviously is what you're using, but you can see on this model he also has the Z ring visible, so he's obviously told you about it or hinted to you about it, because I believe after you do this battle, he gives you the Z ring, and then you can go to Akala Island to obviously find out some more about Z moves, as we'll talk about in just a minute. So then one more, we have Guzma. Again, I think this is in front of the building in this walled city. You can see the building is obviously white. We haven't really gotten a good picture of the walled city yet, but I think it's either this building or maybe the building in the town that we looked at earlier with the lantern thing, with the golden tower. Maybe that town, because that's a big building there as well. Apart from that, I'm not too sure where else he would pop up really, but we'll quickly mention that. It might even be at the bottom of this large island. At the base of the mountain we can see this sort of like fort building, so he might be in front of that. Maybe it's Team Skull's hideout, who knows exactly. Then, staying in that similar sort of town with the golden tower, of course we have Samson Oak, or Naria Oak. You meet him obviously just before you enter, so maybe when you first arrive at this island, assuming Kukui is with you, because of course he is when you talk to Guzma in this town as well, so possibly he's meeting Naria Oak, and that's the reason why you end up talking to him. Who knows exactly, but of course, yeah, it seems to be this conversation happens between the town and the port, so it makes sense that when you first arrive, he talks to you there. Then we have the 4 trial leaders of Akala Island, as we assume they're all based on Akala Island. Obviously we have Kiawe, I cannot remember this guy's name, so I'm just going to call him the electric one. Then of course we have, I can't remember her name, but I know Mallow's name, so there's that. These 4 obviously are based on the volcano, as well as in possibly the Battle Royale area or somewhere else. Of course, if it's a Battle Royale area, I don't know why he'd be there. Maybe he's related, who knows though. And of course we have Mallow in Lush Forest, which is over by the graveyard or up by the other areas there. And then of course we have the last one, which I've forgotten the name, Leah or Lian, something like that, I don't know. It's obviously based up by the waterfalls, and you can see all 4 of them here in these screenshots are doing the respective dances of their Z moves. Of course Kiawe is throwing his hand out, which is the final one for fire. The electric guy is doing the weird hand one, which of course is the electric one, and then the other 2 again, respectively doing their own. So I think my prediction would be, yes, you get the Z ring when you beat Hala and you leave the Melemele Island. Then you come to Akala, he says go and see the trial leaders there, they can help you out, and when you beat the respective trial leaders, they teach you the dances for those Z moves, because of course to use the Z move successfully, you look like you have to do the dance every time, so of course if you don't know the dance, you can't use the Z move, so hence why they're doing the dances here, because you've just beaten them and they will teach you the dance, which of course then you can go away and do. So it only makes sense for that to happen. Also in Kiawe's screenshot you can see his Marowak dancing around and being funky there, so it looks pretty cool. Or of course these could just be the sort of the intros, the animations to their battles with them, so who knows exactly why they're doing that. But further on, I want to show you that screenshot of the electric guy in a bit more detail, as well as this other screenshot of the electric guy we've seen previously. Now, can you notice anything between these 2 screenshots? No? Well, if I put these 2 rings there, there is someone in the screenshots with this electric guy that we do not know. You can see him in the first one, you can see his leg, his arm, and this side basically, and in the second one you can see basically his shoulder. It is someone, I watched the trailer, it moves slightly, so it is a person. But basically this person has a blue jacket on, seemingly red highlights, as well as black leggings or jeans of some description. We do not know who this person is. His clothing does not match any of the characters we've seen so far. It's not the player, since obviously in the second screenshot, the player is visible, so it's not the player, it's another new character. Could this be the Kahuna of Akala Island? Could this be another trial leader visiting this guy? Could it be someone completely different? I don't know. Let me know if you have any ideas on it down below, guys, but it's someone completely new, so certainly something to look at there. Then we have a shot here of Professor Kukui. As I mentioned earlier when we saw the shot, of the nighttime, daytime thing of the mountain, I mentioned that he's at the observatory. Yes, because you can see here, similar screenshot, he has a satellite just behind him, and you can see in the sort of background, obviously he's not at a sea. At first I thought it was a boat, but obviously he's not on the sea here. I don't know what the building in the background is particularly, because it doesn't match up with anything we've really seen, but that's for another day. But yes, he seems to be again at the observatory, says hello to you, waves you over, and then obviously tells you about the mountain possibly. So that's where you are, or you seem to be at the moment in this screenshot here. Moving on, in the final few now, almost there, we have this screenshot quickly of Lily. I think this is somewhere on Mele Mele Island. She looks quite shocked, so I don't exactly know what she's shocked, but I think it's Mele Mele simply because of the landscape in the background. Fits Mele Mele pretty well with a hill, a tall grassy mountain in the background, loads of trees. It fits the landscape pretty well, which is why I say it's there. Of course, it could be a Kala Island maybe, or maybe even the largest island at the bottom right. Who knows exactly? But then we have another screenshot here of the player entering some sort of cave or forest. I believe it's a forest. I think it's lush forest. Again, I don't know Japanese, so if it said lush forest or says like grass trail, then obviously of course it is. And this is also to be one of the locations of lush forest, either by the graveyard or up by the lighthouse town or something like that. Moving on again though, we have quickly some shots of a wishy-washy school form coming out of the water and battling you, and this is shown at right about the same time in the trailer as we see young Goose, or young Gumshoes rather, as well as Orantis. And obviously wishy-washy school form is going to be another totem Pokemon. It only makes a lot of sense because he can call other little wishy-washies as his sidekicks. So obviously Gumshoes can do young Gooses, but wishy-washy school form can do itself, as in normal wishy-washies, which is really cool in my opinion. So obviously this is going to be somewhat up with these waterfalls. I don't know exactly which layer of waterfalls, since obviously it's not the top one, because we can see some more there, but who knows if we can go up and down them, or how exactly we can do this. But I remember in one of the previous trailers, the water trial leader says something like, I wonder what's making all that noise. Hence we have wishy-washy school form being the totem Pokemon you fight here. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. It was going to happen. It doesn't confirm the leak that said, oh, we're going to have a wishy-washy school form, because anyone could have really predicted that if they thought about it. But moving on, we have another shot here of this water trial leader and the character, and the player rather, with with two children in the background on this, what seems to be the floating panels on the water. Exactly why these two are there, no one knows. We don't know. I don't know what she's saying, but she could be saying, let's battle these two, or I'm going to battle you 2-on-2, and you have to battle alongside one of these children against the trial leader and the other child. Who knows exactly why they're there, but I thought I'd point it out because it is quite weird. Maybe you're just having a conversation in front of them, but it seems like they're involved somehow. Exactly how? Who knows? But almost at the end, we have two screenshots here of two Pokemon. The first one being Jangmo, I don't know how to say his name, but obviously looking at the areaways catchable in it, it's a canyon, so it very much seems like he'll be available on the Temple Island, which again, sort of going along with the story, would most likely be one of the final islands in the game. So it makes sense him sort of coming out to be the pseudo-legendary Pokemon. It's not confirmed, of course, but being a Dragon type, it would only make sense for him to be one, since available later on in the game, or not quite towards the end of the game, but later on, catchable, so you can evolve it to its final form. And also we have Cutiefly's purported evolution we saw in the trailer. Just quickly looking at where it is, you can see in the background we have the red flowers, which would indicate that it's not on Mele Mele or Akala Island, since the colours of those islands are indeed yellow and pink respectively. Because of the red flowers, it would indicate it's on the largest island, which would mean near in this marshy forest area where we have these wooden sections and the red flowers around it. So it will just sort of give you an indication of some sort of level. Assuming this is actually a wild Pokemon in this section, they would assuming we know we are battling Guzma in that first town on that island at battle level 30. So obviously Cutiefly could be evolving at level 25, level 20, who knows exactly. I just thought I'd give you guys some sort of idea of where it was catchable. And then to finish up, finally, we have a couple shots of GUI here, so some GUI shots. First one of Pokeride. You can see the shots here of Lapras Swim, Sharpedo Jet, as well as Charizard Fly. And what I want to talk about is, first on the left hand side you can see here we have the D-pad is shown up, so maybe you can assign these, so when you say go use Poké Ride, left, you know, and you can use that quickly, or just a shortcut. Obviously if you have to use the circle pad to move in this game, which would make sense since obviously you're in a 3D environment, you won't be able to use the D-pad to move anymore, and the D-pad might be left to be assigned to special items, or it could be like an X and Y in ORAS, where if you press Y then your shortcut menu comes up and you can use the D-pad. That seems more likely. I don't know why they'd get rid of the D-pad movement as well, but either way it could go. But what actually happens is when you press the button on Charizard, I'll show you the sort of this little slide. You can see at the top right of the other two orange sort of circles appear. You can't really see it off screen, but I don't know what these circles are for. I'm assuming you're pressing A to use Charizard Fly, but why would the circles come up? So I think it might be a sort of a reorder thing, so if you press Y you're reordering it to put it at the top. I don't know exactly what it's for though, I would just thought I'd mention it. And then finally we have another GUI, another user interface you can see here of the battle interface, with the Z move being used on the left hand side. You can see it there with its awesome design, and obviously the other 4 moves there. What this means for Megas, who knows exactly. Maybe of course if you have a Mega Stone in your Pokemon you split it up. Of course maybe you can't use Megas and Z move at the same time, so you have to choose it on your bracelet, on your Z ring. You can either have a Keystone in there or a Z Crystal. You can't have both. That would make more sense. So of course if you don't have the Z Crystal, you have a Keystone, so instead of the Z thing here, you have the Mega Evolution thing. Who knows exactly, but that is the final screenshot for this video, guys. I've been talking for almost an hour. Oh my Jesus. If anyone has made it this far, let me know down in the comment section, please, because I am proud of you. But do feel free to let me know any of your thoughts on any of the images we looked at today, because of course speculation is amazing. There's so much stuff to talk about and think about in these games, so if you have any cool ideas be sure to let me know, because I'm always interested to hear. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this long ass video. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye my friends.